What's up, Julius? Quick demo video for you for your OWK by 89 Sabers, but I think this was bought through Corbanth. I am not sure if this is called the OWK4 or maybe an OWK 3.5. I do know that on this one, these switches are right here in these greeblies, which is something I haven't seen before. Normally it'd be rocker switches up here. But here you have a 2-button setup. So your front is your activation, and then this cog back here is your auxiliary. This is installed with Proffie. You've got CC Sabers in here for your lit PCB, and I'll show you that here in a second. But how you get to everything is you want to unscrew the booster and the back pommel. You can take that off together as one piece. And once you take that off here, you see your chassis here. Now what I did is I did come in here and I put one small grub screw right here next to your activation switch, and that's going to be for a chassis retention. Okay, so we want to unscrew that guy, and then you can pull out your chassis like this, and this is what you've got. So you got your 2 switches right here, 2 tactiles. You've got a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker. This is a removable battery setup, so spring side over here. Not quite enough material or width inside of the grenade section for me to hide the wires, so I did put them in some shrink tube. That way they're not unsightly. And then of course you've got your Proffie board right here. This is a snap fit down in the shelf, but you can pop it up, or if you want to, you can get to both your SD card and your micro USB from here, and you don't have to lift the board up at all. I just take a pair of tweezers and pop out the SD card, and then use a 90-degree data cable to do what you need to do with your config. This does have the stock font package on it, but there's a copy of the config file on your SD card. I'm just looking for a battery. Let's throw a battery in this guy. You hear that? That's a good sign. So what you want to do when you put this in, you are going to want to take your 2 tactile switches and line them up with your actual plunger switches here. We'll put that in. You'll see your 7-pin PCB set right here. That will make contact with that blade side PCB. So when you put this in, slide this all the way in. So you're going to want to push this all the way down and hold it in place while you lock it in. And we'll lock it in with that set screw that's in there. So once you tighten that up, be careful and hold this steady when you tighten that guy up, and you don't have to crank down on it, just enough to hold it solidly in place. Because when you put this on, it is a bit of a tight fit. It was a tight fit to get that 28mm speaker to fit through the grenade section, right? But that's what I wanted to do, right? So it'd have the biggest speaker, so that's what we're doing. Just take this and screw it on. Now this Saber comes with 2 different sets of emitters. You've got one that's here. You can unscrew this. This is basically your blade plug, right? It's a solid emitter. Looks like that, no holes through it. And we'll put that off to the side. You can see your NeoPixel connector in there. So if I hit power, that lights up. Super loud, right? Auxiliary over here. We can twist it off. Now your effects emitter, this guy right here, that will come in your box, obviously. You take this and you screw this on. Now this has 3 blade retention screws on it. When you screw that on, it has this blade extender, right? So you have plenty of blade depth. That's what that's for. So if we took a 1-inch diameter blade and we threw it in here and then locked each of these 3 blade retentions down, it makes this a very solid saber for a thin neck. Got 1, 2. We could probably get away with 2, but I'm going to go ahead and tighten the 3rd one just because it's good practice. Now you can see they're evenly spaced. So just tighten all 3 of those up. The Saber is super loud because this entire pommel is for sound resonance. And you have a static solid pommel, and you've got this one that's vented for sound, right? We'll go to another sound font. Smooth fuzz. cycle through some colors. I did that by holding aux and hitting power. So we'll cycle through a few, try to find a blue, and then hit power. So now when we turn it on, we have a blue blade. Good flash on class. Blade lock up. It's a little tricky to do blade lock up. You have to hold down the aux button and hit the saber at the same time. And it'll stay like that as long as you hold down on it. And then you can just let go of it. So I did give you twist off, but I didn't give you swing on because there's so much involved with putting this together after you put a battery in it. I think this is a blue fire blade. Yeah. Just like that, and we'll go ahead and we'll take the blade out. So again, we'll come back and loosen all these blade retentions. This makes for a bit of an odd look, you know, when it comes to the emitter. But as far as blade depth and stability, you know, it's spot on. A lot of times with these thin necks, that's the major complaint is blade depth. But with this one, I mean, you've probably got about 2 inches, maybe a little bit more with that guy, right? But when we're all done, we can just come back here and unscrew this again. Almost there. Pull it straight out. And then we'll want to come over here and loosen that chassis retention. Just a turn or two. You can pull your chassis out. And then from the positive side over here by your pins, you can pop the battery out just like that. But that is basically your OWK. Let me know if you got any questions. And if not, this guy will go out in the mail to you tomorrow. All right. Thanks.